Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. Can everybody hear me or see me okay? All right, can everybody see me? Can you hear me okay right now? It's a new YouTube system. Just want to make sure that it works. Hi, Bagzod. Can everybody hear me? Can everybody see me? How's the sound? How's the picture? Hi, Amrit. Hi, Biam But So Good. Hi, Zoya. Onur, thank you for answering my question. Awesome. I appreciate it. Yeah, YouTube has changed the UI for vloggers. So it's a little bit of a different system. I think everybody's getting used to it. But great to see so many students. All right, today we're doing IELTS reading practice and strategy materials coming from our websites, aehelp.com. That AE is for Academic English help.com. General IELTS, GIELTS, help.com, and help we can. We've got lots of goodies for you on our websites, ladies and gents. Websites look like this. This is our academic IELTS web portal with videos, interactive course, practice exams. Click the red button to join. Get into your My Student account. General IELTS, this green background here, click that red button to join us there. Awesome. You can download our app from your app store, look for our logo, search for Academic IELTS Help. And if you have questions about our products or the exam, send me an email, Adrian, ADRIAN, at aehelp.com. This is our schedule here. Usually the everyone chat classes are 3 to 4 o'clock Central European time, Wednesday to Saturday. So there you have it. And here is our reading passage for today. Reading passage 3 coming out of exam number 4. What are we looking at? What is that blue square? It's the aesthetic merit of abstract art. What does that mean? If the screen is bright for others, just let me know. And I will adjust it, but if it's just the picture, don't worry about it. We won't see it all that long. It's a painting. Yeah, the blue square is a painting. Absolutely. It's an abstract painting. What does that mean, abstract painting? What is an abstract painting? What is abstract art? Farhan says it's maybe the benefits associated with abstract art. What is abstract art, Farhan? You should, some of you might be thinking, I have no idea, Adrian. What is it? This picture should help you. That's why they include pictures like that. YT Politics says it's something unreal, something that does not exist. Yeah, that's an okay way, I think, to explain it. Sana, I believe, has an explanation that many people would agree with. It's a weird type of art. Khal Drogo, very good. Khal Drogo says different meanings for different people. It's art that can be interpreted. It's intangible art. Deryadar Tazdemir, very good. Yeah, it's art that is subjective. The meaning is unclear. The meaning is given by the artist, by the viewer of the art form, right? So it's not a real portrayal of the world around us, but rather an imaginary portrayal. Okay, good. Merit means value or worth. So here we have this reading passage, and some of you watching right now might be going, Adrian, I hate IELTS, and I hate difficult reading passage questions. What's interesting is just last week, students, I got so many emails from different students saying the reading section in the academic IELTS exam was so hard. I think some of you students know who you are. I think some of you are even watching. And yeah, it can be. I mean, it's academic IELTS. Why? Why is the academic reading section of the IELTS exam so difficult? And passage 3 for general IELTS, or section 3 for general IELTS, is difficult too. Why? Are the IELTS people just mean? Do they just want to make your life terrible and miserable? Or is there a logical reason? Why? Why is it so hard? Well, because you have to be ready to go to university or college. And if you are reading university textbooks on physics, engineering, biology, art, like this here, it will be difficult, okay? Maybe even more difficult than these passages. So if you cannot do the passages in the IELTS exam, they're not sure that you're going to do well in university or college either, okay? So you have to be ready. So it's not just hard because they want to be mean. And Igor Ugelmi has a good point. Igor says, well, it's hard because it's timed. You only have like 20 minutes. If I had 1 hour for each passage, I could probably slowly figure out the words and the meanings. Maybe. In university, in Canada, in the US, Australia, a bachelor's student will read about 150 pages each week. Each week, okay? Between 100 and 150 pages each week. There's no way that you can do that if you're reading slowly, okay? And you have to understand it because you will have exams, quizzes, homework assignments, group projects. So that's the reason, okay? That's the reason. Yeah. Pachu, an average chapter in a university textbook is 30 pages. A full course load is 5 classes. Usually, professors ask you to read 1 chapter each week. 5 professors, 5 chapters, 5 times 30 pages, 150 pages. Why do I know this? Because I did university in Canada and my friends did, and I know exactly how much I was reading. So that's what you do. 5 chapters per week, average chapter 30 to 40 pages. That's how much you get to read. Okay, so hopefully that... So the reason I say that, students, is because I want to encourage you. So I'm not trying to be mean here, and I'm not trying to discourage you. So I'm not trying to say, forget it, it's too hard. It's not too hard. You're brilliant, you're smart people, you're smart women, you're smart men. You can do it. You just have to practice, okay? I want to encourage you, and I just want to explain the logic. So my goal here is to empower you to read, become fluent, fantastic readers with high comprehension. Okay, students, so I get this reading passage. I read the title, The Aesthetic Merit of Abstract Art. I try to understand it. Hopefully I can figure out that aesthetic equals beauty. Merit means value. And abstract means subjective art. We can say unreal, as a student said, subjective unreal art. So the beauty, the value of subjective unreal art. What should I do next? What's my next step? So... yeah, Tina, I'm really happy that you're reading the full passage and not just skimming and scanning. Yeah, skimming and scanning is a crazy strategy, especially for academic reading. It really doesn't work. You cannot get a band 7. It's very difficult. If somebody can get a band 7 skimming and scanning an academic reading passage, they can get a higher band score if they just read the passage. Okay, so let's see what you're saying. So Farhan says, have a look at the questions. Kilola says, visualize. Look at the questions, visualize. Yeah, it's a little bit tough to visualize here. They're trying to help with this picture. But I would say before you even look at the questions, okay, Yeah, Fathur, that's right. Skimming and scanning is used for newspapers, not for academic IELTS exams. So before you even look at the questions, use critical thinking. That can really help you to figure out what you're reading, especially when it's difficult like this, okay? So, especially with difficult text, this is my tip number 1 for you today. So, tip 1, especially with difficult passages, it is a very important step to do critical thinking about the title, okay, and the topic. Okay, so here it's the aesthetic merit of abstract art. So what is the value of the beauty of abstract art? So just give me your best answer for that. So when you're looking at a painting like this, what do you think is the value of that? So what is it? What kind of a value do we get from that? What benefit? Why would I put that in my room? Victoria, through practice, okay? I'm going to show you strategies of how you can read 3 passages and answer 40 questions in 1 hour. You should be able to do that, okay? Comfortably, all right? So what is this? Why would I put it up in my room? For showing off? Sure, to put it on display. Why is it beautiful? What's going on with it? So why does it have value? What can this art do? Yeah, so Yosef Samir has a good answer. So Yosef says, promote some positive feelings. So maybe some of you look at this and you say, hey, that reminds me of the ocean. It reminds me of the sky. It's this beautiful blue. And it makes me feel great. Okay, so what is the value? So feeling, maybe a positive or good emotions. Sure. Looks pretty. Somebody said, looks pretty. Looks good. Pleasing for the eyes. Sure. Any other reason? Kyber says maybe it's an inspiration. It's a financial investment. Sure. So let's ask the why question. So why debate the value of abstract art? Why talk about this? Meditation, Caldrogo, that's also good. Sure, yeah. Why talk about abstract art? So why would we read a whole passage? Why would some author or some writer take time in their life to discuss or explain the beauty and the value of abstract art? Why would we talk about that? What's the logic there? Clifton, Felix says because a lot of people may argue that it's not useful or it's a waste of money. It's not even art. Yeah, so it's a hot topic. It's debatable. Sure, can be a waste of time. Okay, absolutely. And how do we explain the value or the author of abstract art? Okay, well, how do we explain it? So how can we say, well, it is beautiful, it is art, it is worth something? So What's the logic there? Okay. Because there are unique meanings, yeah. Sure. Now, even these what, why, how questions are a little bit tricky. I agree with you. It's not easy to do this. And maybe if you're not in a chat with another 150 students who are helping to think of all these ideas, you would say, well, Adrian, I'm happy if I think of one or just two of these ideas. But that's okay, all right? If you can think of just a couple of ideas, that's fine. It's better than nothing. For this kind of a passage, it's really dangerous to just start reading without any thinking, okay? If you just start reading and you hope that the passage will give you the information you need to answer these reading passage questions, you will likely get into a lot of trouble, okay? So you don't want to do that. All right, so we did our critical thinking. We understand this a little bit more now. What should we do next? So we visualized it. Okay, abstract art, it's hard to visualize. It's just a blue painting or maybe some lines or a weird shape of a sculpture. I've done some critical thinking. I've thought about, okay, what is the value of it? Why are we talking about this? How can this be debated? So then what do? Rekha says, read the passage. And Sarneet Kaur says, why are we discussing these? Sarneet, we're discussing these so that you can understand reading more, so you can improve your comprehension, which will lead to higher band scores. Next step, students, is let's look at the questions. Okay, so let's take a look at these questions before we read the passage. It is a good idea to read the questions if they're contained in the passage. So here it says, which paragraph contains the following information? Should I read this kind of question before I read the passage? So here we have, write the correct letter, A to G, in boxes 27 to 32 on your answer sheet. Note, by the way, that NB means note, by the way. You may use any letter more than once. The rejection of the old rules of art. And yet we should definitely read it. Okay, so good job, Farhan. Good job, Onur, Rekha, Begzad. Yes, it says contained. So which paragraph contains? So you know all of this information is in the passage. So let's read it. The rejection of old rules of art. Different kinds of aesthetic value. Two competing arguments about the value of abstract art. Ambiguity itself provides part of the aesthetic experience. The mysterious nature of abstract art. Aesthetic value is up to the viewer. Good. Okay. Now we have some multiple choice coming up. Choose the correct letter, A, B, C, or D. Write the correct letter in boxes 33 to 36. Should I read all these multiple choice questions before I read the passage? Is that a good idea? Is that smart? Pachu says no. Farhan says no need. Kyber agrees, no need. Syed says, let's take it one step at a time. Just read the question. The question is in the passage. Just don't bother with the choices. That's right. Yeah, so just read the question. This is in the passage. 3 of these are not, so don't bother with that. Just read the question. So what makes abstract art different from classic art? A common critique of abstract art is that it lacks. Why is it important to note that aesthetic merit not be solely reserved for the sublime? Okay, sublime. While realist works of art explicitly show their meanings, abstract works of art do what? Okay. Now, again, students, you should know that for multiple choice questions in the reading section, skimming and scanning is almost impossible. Okay, it's very, very unlikely that you can skim or scan for these answers in most cases, because the answers are often not coming from one sentence, but from understanding a paragraph. Okay, and they are also paraphrased. Okay, last set, 3740. It's a true, false, not given. True, false, not given. Should I read this before I read the passage? And again, I know this is a challenging passage for everyone. We're talking about abstract art. Even in one's own language, it's tricky, but just bear with me. Yeah, no, don't read these. We don't know which ones are true. We don't know which ones are false. We don't know which ones are not given. So there's absolutely zero value to reading these questions before the passage. All right, students, so now we've looked at these questions. When you're practicing for the exam at home, you should make sure to understand the ones that you read, okay? So you should try to paraphrase the questions as much as you can. So the rejection of old rules of art. So you can say something like, denying the conservative regulations or rules of art or paintings. Okay, so denying the conservative is a paraphrase of rejecting the old or rejection of old. Different kinds of aesthetic value. How can I say different? I can say various. Okay, kinds instead of kinds, I can say types. So all I'm doing this is just rewriting in my own words to make sure I have clarity, to get my mind moving. Aesthetic, as I mentioned, beauty. Okay, aesthetic and beauty are very close synonyms. Value, worth. So here I just went word by word, various types of beauty, worth, or various types of beauty, value. Okay, so I keep going, and especially if I see new words, I should make sure when I'm preparing for the exam at home to identify them, translate them, and write sample sentences with them. What does the word ambiguity means? What does it mean, ambiguity? Anybody? What does the word ambiguity mean? Has a very clear meaning. What does it mean? Ambiguity does not mean two opposite opinions. Rekha, that's right. It means unclear. Yeah, not clear. That's right, Sana Sohail. Yeah. So it means unclear. Now, here it's used as a noun. So ambiguity I can translate as lack of clarity. Okay? So lack of clarity itself provides part of the aesthetic experience. So now I know what ambiguity means. I should write a sample sentence for myself so I can remember that for the future if it's a new word. Okay? That's ambiguity. All right, students. So we're doing good. We're paraphrasing these statements because, as you may or may not know, these sentences will not be in each paragraph exactly the same. The writer will also use paraphrasing in the paragraphs. Okay? So I'll teach you a couple of strategies for answering these questions, effective strategies. Just bear with me. We will now read the passage. Let's go to the beginning and read with me. So focus on reading with me, follow with my speed, and focus on understanding what you read. Here we go. Everybody's ready? The aesthetic merit of abstract art. Abstract art is notorious for its apparent lack of artistic skill, meaning, and value. While its harshest critics believe that abstract art is not art at all, many art connoisseurs feel that abstract art is an aesthetically pleasing expression of the human condition. This article will discuss both sides of the issue and present arguments for and against the aesthetic merit of abstract art. All right, so this is the introduction. Again, when you're reading at home, if there are words that you don't understand, underline them, like notorious, connoisseurs, coming from French, right? And then make sure you write those out. Notorious means famous. Okay, connoisseur is a critic. Okay, it's used here as well, critics. So somebody who gives their opinion about it. Reka, that's good. Famous. Yeah. All right. And it can be for something bad. Yeah, absolutely. Sana Sohail. Notorious means famous for something bad. Absolutely. Okay, great. So what is this first paragraph about? It's about the value or lack of value contained in abstract art, because it's arguably a form of art that does not take any kind of skill and has no meaning. Let's keep going. Now, pay attention to the thesis statement here. It's telling us what we will be reading. So let's go with paragraph B. Abstract art, by definition, does not follow the rules of reality. Until the late 19th century, artists had more or less stuck to the notion of art as representation of reality. Artists such as Gainsborough or Rembrandt followed the rules of reality with regards to light, perspective, physics, and logic. Abstract artists like Jackson Pollock rejected these supposed rules of painting. Instead, Pollock made his own rules, or rejected rules entirely. The aesthetic value of works such as Pollock's, that is to say, the ability for works like his to elicit pleasure when viewed, is the point at stake in this discussion. What is this paragraph about? Students, what is this paragraph about in a very simple way? What is it about? Before we read on. Pachu says it's the definition of abstract art. Yep, that's true. Sana Sohail says it's a little bit about the history. Begzad says the definition. Yeah, definition is good because it says with rules of reality with regards to light, perspective, physics, and logic, right? So this tells us that abstract art doesn't follow the rules of art, right? So that's what it's about. Perfect, yeah. Let's keep going. On one hand, some critics feel that abstract art is facile, silly, and indulgent. It is on their account a perfect example of the kind of art snobbery that the outside world finds so distasteful. Looking at a canvas covered in blue paint, we are meant to see something, perhaps jealousy, perhaps the depth of human emotion, perhaps the bleakness of the human condition. But for many people, they merely see a blue rectangle. It is not mere lack of imagination, however, that gives viewers the impression that the artwork lacks aesthetic value. Many critics who have a keen eye for good art feel that many works of abstract art lack aesthetic merit. A common argument against these artworks is that they lack skill. Artworks by Rembrandt and Gainsborough are unambiguously works of profound skill. These artists committed their lifetimes to their craft, and it shows in the virtuosity of their works. What is this paragraph about? So again, read with me, focus and read with me. What is it about? What is paragraph C about? It's good to keep a mental tally. So first paragraph, introduction, right? The two sides of the argument. Second paragraph, the definition of abstract art. Third paragraph or second body paragraph is Sana, very good. You're saying critical views against abstract art. Yeah, that's right, Rekha. So it's the opposite opinion. It's the opinion that abstract art does not have value and why that is. Okay? That's right, Hang Nguyen. It's expressing the negative feelings of critics towards abstract art. Very good. So what do you think will come next? Before I go to the next paragraph, just for fun, what do you think is coming next? What's the next paragraph about? Diraj, Mita, yeah, absolutely. When you're practicing for the reading section at home, you should write down this information. Begzad said probably the positive opinion. Yeah, the yes arguments. Yeah, sure, that makes sense, right? It's logical. So keep this structure of logic in your mind. Let's keep reading. It is important to note, however, that aesthetic merit must not be solely reserved for the sublime. Sublime means truly beautiful or awe-inspiring. In comparing Rembrandt to an abstract artist such as Pollock, one must realize there are many kinds of aesthetic merit. For example, there's the aesthetic merit in a sunset, in a beautiful sculpture, in a symphony, or even in a well-composed meal. So if aesthetic merit is represented in manifold ways, is it possible that abstract art satisfies at least one of those criteria? Many critics say yes. Okay, so you were close. It's almost about the positive side. It's at least explaining that there are many types of beauty. So D says, hey, look, there are many kinds of beauty or value in aesthetics. Let's keep reading. The value of abstract art lies for some critics in its mystery. Whereas realist artworks simply show and tell their meaning, the meaning of abstract works is hidden behind a veil of ambiguity. Perhaps the artist has an intended meaning. Perhaps the artist does not. Additionally, the meaning for one person may be different than the meaning for another person. The key is that the painting does have meaning, but is meaning the same as aesthetic merit? Arguably not. Words have meanings, for example, but lack aesthetic merit. However, one might say for a painting or other artwork to have meaning is precisely for it to have aesthetic merit. Okay, so what is this about? It is about the possible value of abstract art. Why? According to the author, what is the possible value of abstract art? So according to this argument, why might abstract art be considered as valuable? What gives it its beauty, according to this paragraph? What gives it its potential, hey, I don't know what that is, but it's beautiful. Farhan, that's right, the ambiguity. It's exactly that part of the art where we don't know what it's showing, that we can talk about it, we can have fun with it. Hey, you see a blue sky, I see a blue ocean. It's that variety, it's that ambiguity that makes it special, that makes it beautiful. Okay, let's keep going. Perhaps the real answer to the debate is that whether an object has aesthetic merit or not is up to the viewer. An object can have aesthetic merit for one person, but lack it for another person. So in this sense, abstract art is neither meritorious nor the opposite. Instead, it is whatever the viewer thinks it is. On this account, If a person finds an abstract work of art aesthetically pleasing, then that artwork is aesthetically pleasing for him or her. If not, then it's not. What is this paragraph saying? It's saying, well, it's up to the viewer whether or not it's beautiful. This answer, however, will not satisfy some readers who desire a clear answer to the debate in question. For such readers, it is important to point out that ambiguity is inherent in all art. In fact, ambiguity is part of the aesthetic experience itself. So the fact that there is no clear answer forthcoming to the aesthetic merit of abstract art is not surprising. It is the nature of art to lack crystal clarity in order to invite interpretation and meditation, which are critical parts of the very aesthetic experience in question. So it's the conclusion. What does the conclusion say? That art is beautiful exactly because it's often unclear. All right, so hopefully you kept a tally in your mind of roughly the structure of what you were reading. So now we can look at these questions again and answer them together, and I'm going to show you some really useful strategies for these. So here, this question is saying, which paragraph contains the following information? Write the correct letter A to G in boxes on your answer sheet. Okay. 27, the rejection of old rules of art. Okay, so rejecting old rules of art. Firstly, you should try to decide, is that introduction, body, or conclusion? So is it in the first third of the essay, in the second third of the essay, or in the last third of the essay? So what do you think? Where would we find that information? Intro, body, or conclusion? Yeah, so this is contained somewhere in a body paragraph. Okay? So the rejection of old rules of art, it makes sense to put that into a body paragraph, right? So it's going to be somewhere in the body, somewhere in the middle part maybe, or maybe somewhere in the beginning part, right? Absolutely. Ask yourself, if you are the author, where would you put that information? So for this kind of a question, right? For which paragraph contains the following information? Okay. A good question, a good kind of a trick for these types of questions are, if I were the author. So ask yourself, if I were the author, where would I put this? So in our example, I would put that somewhere in the beginning. Okay, and sure enough, as many of you answered, and I know you are patiently and excitedly waiting to see whether you got that right, and I will show it to you. You would put that into a body paragraph. You'd put that into the beginning, and it is in paragraph B. So here we go. Just give me a second. There we go. So abstract art by definition does not follow the rules of reality, right? It rejects the old styles, and it is in this part here, rejected the rules entirely. Okay, so yes, it's in paragraph B. We know it's near the middle. For these kinds of questions, you can't just skim read the whole passage, okay? You can't just start skim reading the whole passage. This could be in paragraph G. If it's in paragraph G and you're trying to skim or scan for the answer, you will skim and scan the entire passage. That's insane, okay? It is absolutely insane to skim read the whole passage just to get the first answer, okay? Because it could be in paragraph G. So that will not work. You have to have a fairly accurate idea of where that information is contained, okay? So 28, different kinds of aesthetic value. Different kinds of aesthetic value. Body, intro, or conclusion. Body paragraph. Where would I put it? Beginning, middle, or end? I would put it somewhere in the middle. And again, this is why when I read the passage, I kept a mental note of what I'm reading. I remember that the different kinds of aesthetic value were listed here. Now, if you're skimming or scanning, again, students, if the only lesson you learned today is skimming and scanning does not work in the IELTS, especially academic IELTS, especially passage 3, then great. Okay, you've learned a very valuable lesson. In this, it does not say anywhere that there are many types of aesthetic value, or it doesn't say it clearly. You have to read the whole passage. Again, you're searching for it too much. Okay, so it does say, though, that there's merit in a sunset, in a sculpture, in a symphony, or even in a meal. So from this description, we know that the answer is D. Okay, so D. All right, two competing arguments about the value of abstract art. So two competing arguments about the value of abstract art. Introduction, body, or conclusion? Hi, Aigul. Good to see you in class. What are the two competing arguments? Okay, Farhan says conclusion. I think not. Pachu says introduction. I would say introduction. It's the setup. It's the thesis. Okay, think about it carefully. It makes sense that this is the thesis. So some people think that abstract art is valuable. Others think it's not. That's the introduction. That makes sense, right? This is where paraphrasing is very powerful. Two competing arguments about the value of abstract art. What are those? So you should ask, what are those arguments? Well, some people say it's valuable. Some people say it's not valuable. Where would I put that? In the introduction, because that's what this essay is about. So A. Okay, next one. Ambiguity itself provides part of the aesthetic experience. So not knowing the meaning of the artwork is what makes it beautiful. Where is that? Intro, body, or conclusion? Intro, body, or conclusion? Ambiguity itself provides part of the aesthetic experience. Very good, students. So a lot of you are saying that's the conclusion. Okay, now for those of you who learn task 2 writing strategy from me, you should be able to tell me even more specifically what this is. So yes, it's the conclusion, which was paragraph G, right? What part of the conclusion is it? So for those students who are learning task 2 structure the right way for academic IELTS, they should know that this is a specific part of the conclusion. What part of the conclusion is that information logically? It's not so much the argument, Yosef Samir. What do I call this in task 2? It's not, it's kind of the argument reinforced, but beyond that, it's something else. Okay, for those of you who are asking why couldn't you chat in the last class, because that was the members chat class. You have to be a channel member for that one. Omaima, Lah Bibi, absolutely. Sheikh, yes, that's right. It's the take-home message. Yeah, this is the take-home message for the reader. Okay, so you will notice that task 2 writing and academic reading are very much the same. Basically, when you are doing a task 2 writing for the academic IELTS, you're creating a mini passage. Okay, you're creating a mini passage. This is the take-home message. It's the message they leave you with. It says, okay, you read this passage. You should remember that one of the aspects or one of the features of art which makes it beautiful is that we can argue about it, is that it's ambiguity. Okay, the mysterious nature of abstract art, 31. The mysterious nature of abstract art. Introduction, body, conclusion. I think it's body. Okay, where would I find it? I think somewhere in the middle. Okay, I'm not sure where. So I'm going to look for mysterious nature. Okay, and I'm going to start in the middle because I think it's body. I think it's middle. So I'm going to start with C, and I'm looking for any words that suggest mysterious nature. It should be the topic of the body paragraph. Okay. Manish, you should see a join button beside the subscribe button to become a member. On one hand, some critics feel that abstract art is facile, silly, and indulgent, so it means it's worthless. Okay, that's not mysterious. It is on their account that the perfect example. Okay, that doesn't look like the right paragraph. It's talking about the negatives. It is important to note, however, that aesthetic merit must not just be reserved for the sublime. Okay, that doesn't look like it's talking about the mystery of abstract art either. It does look like a topic sentence, so I should be able to find it in the topic. The value of abstract art for some critics is in its mystery. Well, there we go. I mean, that's black and white, right? So that really gives me the right answer there. Okay. So very confident with E. Now be really cautious, students, just because we have the word mysterious here and you saw the word mysterious in paragraph E does not mean that you can match words in the real IELTS and that will work as a strategy. Okay, in this case it works, but there's no guarantee. Aesthetic value is up to the viewer. Okay, so it's up to the person looking at the painting. That was somewhere near the end of the passage. It's also body paragraph. So let's keep going. I remember that I just looked at C, D, E. None of those really had that information. So I'm just going to continue with F. Perhaps the real answer to the debate is that whether an object has aesthetic merit or not is up to the viewer. An object can have aesthetic merit for one person but lack it for others. Okay, good. So there I have my answer. And the answer is F. Okay, so it's up to the viewer. Now, how did I get that last one so quickly? And a lot of you got it as well. So Lan, Thieu, Shilpa, Sana, Begzod, Onur, you all got it correct. Why? Because we're using these strategies to help us with these last questions. Students, when you get this kind of a question, which paragraph contains the information, you have to stay calm, you have to stay focused. It might take you a little bit more time to figure out this one, this one, this one, but as long as you're going step by step, you will be able to answer these questions faster. Okay? If you're using the right strategy, you should be able to answer each consecutive question a little bit faster, a little bit easier, because you know the content of the paragraph. Okay, you start to learn the contents of the paragraph, especially if you kept a mental checklist of what you are reading. That's why that's so important. Okay, sometimes I wish every reading passage had a list of headings, question, because that actually helps you to understand and answer other questions. Okay, let's go to multiple choice. So here we go. What makes abstract art different from classical art? Tip number one for multiple choice questions is always answer these on your own before you look at the passage. So multiple choice questions. Always answer from your own understanding of the passage, from your own brain. Don't try to search for the answer. So what makes abstract art different from classical art? In your own words. Even for those of you that came in late and didn't read the passage. So Farhan says it breaks the rules. Sure. What else makes it different? Just keep it really simple. Thank you, Igul. Very good. I'm pointing at the chat. You don't see that on my giant screen in the background, but it's ambiguity. It's not clear, right? Classical works, we know what they mean. Abstract works, they're ambiguous. We're not sure of the meaning. That's the clear difference from your own words. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. So it is made after the late 19th century? No. They made classical art after the 19th century. It does not follow classical art rules. It follows a pattern of logic. It elicits pleasure from the viewer. So A, B, C, or D, according to its ambiguity. So if it's unclear, what does that mean? Yeah, B. Right. It's ambiguous because it doesn't follow the classical rules. Okay, next question. A common critique of abstract art is that it lacks what? In your own words, what is one of the common arguments why a lot of critics say that's not art? Abstract art is not art. What does it not have? So B is good for 33. We're on to 34. What does abstract art lack that classical art has? Oh, Maima, Lakbibi, paying careful attention. Begzod, Clifton Felix as well. Very good. Skill, right? Remember, if you're visualizing, the passage said that a lot of critics say anybody can do abstract art. I'm going to do a little bit of abstract art for you right now. Whammo! Wow! Wow! Okay, it's a lollipop. I don't know what it is. All right, there's my abstract art. Am I a skillful artist? Am I like Rembrandt, or am I like Leonardo da Vinci or Michelangelo? Visualize, okay? So no, it's not. It's so weird, right? What is that? So ability or skill is what's missing according to many of its critics. Imagination, classical laws of physics, the bleakness of the human condition, skill. What do you think is the correct answer? Igul, yes, it could be a Medusa. I've been teaching a lot about jellyfish these days. Yeah, D, absolutely. D is the correct answer. It's skill. There it is. So B and D. Good. Okay, I'm going to erase my millions and millions of dollars worth of abstract art there. So once in a lifetime. That's not true because the video is recorded. All right, and 35. Why is it important to note that aesthetic merit not be solely reserved for the sublime? So why is it important to mention that beauty is not just for the visibly beautiful. Okay, why is that? So why would we talk about, well, something that's beautiful isn't necessarily just for a really beautiful painting of a person or a mountain or something like that? What's the reason there? Anybody? Why would we say that? So why would we say, hey, you know, it's not just a painting can be beautiful. Kestra says imagination. Clifton says feelings, reality, emotions. And if I put together what you're commenting in the chat, then what you're telling me is that there are many types of beauty, right? So beauty is subjective. There are many types of beauty. So here, there is more than one kind of aesthetic merit. That's very close to what I said. Aesthetic merit is reserved for experts. There is aesthetic merit in a sunset. Abstract art may have additional meanings. What do you think? A, B, or C or D? Tina says it's A. I agree. Yeah, A. There's more than one kind of beauty. So the correct answer is A. Absolutely. Okay, so while realist works of art explicitly show their meaning, abstract works of art do what? So realist works show their meaning, abstract works of art hide their meaning, have an ambiguous meaning, right? Tell their meaning, maybe. Hide the meaning from the artist, disambiguate the meaning, or obscure their meaning. A, B, C, or D for this last one. Hide the meaning, disambiguate, or obscure. It's obscure. Okay. Now, this is a little bit tricky because you should know the meaning of obscure. Okay. Hide looks like a good answer, but they're not hiding it. So the artist is not going, hey, I'm going to hide the meaning here. They're just not showing it clearly. Okay. So obscure means to not show clearly. Okay. So the answer here is D. Obscure the meaning. All right, students. So last little bit here. True, false, not given. There are 4 true, false, not given questions. Abstract artists always give their artworks a meaning. An artwork's aesthetic value is ultimately up to the observer. A lack of clarity is present in all artworks. Artists often meditate upon the meaning of their artworks. Students, I'll leave those 4 true, false, not given questions and answers up to you. You can send me an email and I will give you the answer key for those. Okay, use the skills from the true, false, not given lessons to help you solve those questions. That's it for me for today. I know that was a difficult reading passage, and I'm proud of those of you who stuck with it to the end. You can go back and review that in your own time. The video will be up on the channel later on. Again, remember to go to aehelp.com for academic IELTS. It looks like this with the blue background and this red button to join. Again, spend a couple dollars, get our great materials, help yourself, help us, help you to pass the exam. This is the general IELTS exam. Click that red button to help us help you to pass the exam. Thank you, everyone, again, for your hard work. I know it's tough. I cannot imagine talking about abstract art in another language. It must be very difficult. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I will see you tomorrow for some listening, practice, and strategy. Much love to all of you. Bye for now.